Beautiful trading day. Beautiful way to end April, honestly, if you ask me. Just the CYPRX 2.0 strategy and the things that we teach in the Discord and using the deltas and the dark pools. He was able to not only pass the challenge, but was able to pay himself $4,970 this week on the 28th. So I want to go over in detail today the buys and sell opportunities on MNQ. I want to go over my markings, what I was looking at on the charts, why I was calling out 27160 to you guys, and how I kind of developed that level of accuracy to call out that level ahead of time and just show you guys kind of my mentality for the day. Why I didn't take the sells prior to the session, even though the sell opportunity started prior to the New York session open. Why I caught the continuation of the sells, and kind of just go over what I was seeing from the top down, starting on the hourly all the way down to the 1 minute. All right. So we'll go over that. Before we get started there, I want to first just give a shout out as we've had yet another phenomenal week inside the private community. Some of you guys are absolutely killing it, whether it's some of you all who are both in CYPRX and in the order flow side of things, or just some of you guys who are just in CYPRX. Two primary members who are just, well, Emiliano's in the order flow, but he hasn't started using order flow tools yet. He's just primarily focused on CYPRX 2.0. And then, of course, Angel, who's been a CYPRX member since August of last year, took his first payout this week, which was phenomenal to see, right? With just the CYPRX 2.0 strategy and the things that we teach in the Discord and using the deltas and the dark pools, he was able to not only pass the challenge, but was able to pay himself $4,970 this week on the 28th. So in less than a year, putting in work, putting in the elbow grease, teaching the strategy, remaining disciplined, and understanding that it's not technical analysis, or it's not tools, or it's not like these external confluences of things that make you the profitable trader. It's how you approach the markets, how you remain disciplined, how you apply a strategy with sound risk management consistently over a prolonged period of time that makes you a successful trader. This is just that living, breathing proof that the foundation of how I created CYPRX works. And then building off of that, adding external things, adding all these other things, these factors, these tools that we have to become super duper snipers in this market. It's all possible, and it's possible in this community. So this is just more living, breathing proof that what myself, Scalper, and other members of this community like Aqua and so on and so forth have brought to you guys works wholeheartedly. So this is just another one of those emotional weeks for me as a mentor, just to see the elbow grease that we all put in as a community paying off in real time. Emiliano as well, my first student, he's passed challenges before. He's had definitely a troubling time. He has not been shy on sharing that in the Discord with you guys. But through all the trials and tribulations that this man has been through, and I know that you guys don't know his backstory, I personally do because I was there with him through these trials and tribulations back in 2022, 2023, and 24 that he experienced personally from his transition from being in Mexico to now being in America and so on and so forth. Seeing his hard work pay off, even though he has such a far way to continue to grow, is just phenomenal, right? So Emiliano passed another challenge this past week. He sent me his logs of his trades. He had a phenomenal trading week, didn't have any losses this week. So that was really great to see. And it's just phenomenal to see it all, paying off in real time again. Continue the progress. Remember the conversation that we had this morning, bro, and just make sure that you're locked in and you're not focused on the money. You're focused on the strategy. You're focused on the confluences. You're not pressured to feel like you need to execute trades. You're not trying to over leverage to get yourself a payout as fast as possible. And you're really just zooming out and taking a elongated perspective on this trading journey, that we are traders for life. We're not just trying to be traders for the week or for the month to make a quick buck. All right. You're building real skills that'll last you a freaking lifetime, long after, you guys depart from myself and Scalper. Hopefully you never do. But, I plan on retiring one day. I'd assume Scalper's going to retire one day. Right. So long after that, you guys will be able to take these skills. You'll be able to pass them on to your kids and hopefully create generational wealth for your family members and beyond. Right. That's the end goal. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you guys for putting in work. I didn't see too much I mean, of course, you guys traded, but I didn't see anybody else pass challenges this week. So if I missed anything, shout out to you guys as well. And then, of course, anybody else that's just on demos, that's trading, and even in the background, you're still locked in, you're focused, you're just not sharing your journey. Keep grinding, right? Keep your head up. If you had a bad week, journal it. It's the end of the month. Journal looking back the last 30 days, what you accomplished, what you didn't. Make sure that you're being honest with yourself, right? Look yourself in the mirror, reflect, understand that if you're going to improve this next month, you need to make sure that you're not continuing the same mistakes that you made over the past 30 days and you're slightly improving 1% every day. All right. Real fast, I've been reading this book. I wanted to just give it to you guys real quick to put it on everybody's radar. This book is nuts, like super deep book. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. It's inside the Library of Awakening section. I'm probably going to shift the book recommendation in the coming weeks ahead to this book right here, The Genesis of Reality. This book is deep. Like everybody that is on a trading journey right now should go read this book. Um, I'll tag it in the Library of Awakening section and in the general chat so that way you guys can immediately know where to find it because you probably take you forever to actually go and find it in the Discord. But the table of contents alone, insane. I've only read the first two chapters, but my mind has been absolutely freaking blown away and just some of the knowledge and the wisdom that this book has in it. So very relatable to everyday life, personal development, self-growth, so on and so forth, right? So I thought that I'd throw that in there as well. Like I said, I'll tag it in the Discord. All right, so starting on the hourly, these are the two positions that I scaled into today. I took sells and then took the buy moves after price started to show its hand on the higher time frame, defending at a higher time frame buy base. And after price had come into the 27160 that I had identified in the chat as an area of interest where I would start to look for profit taking on my sells. All right, so this rising, I always just try to let you guys know what I'm doing in the market to some extent in advance. At about 8:37. So I took my position at 8:35 like I usually do. I wait 5 minutes till after 8:30 a.m. to trade. That's just my rule form. That's kind of like what I have set in stone for myself to be patient and just, again, not get caught in the excessive volatility that tends to unfold at the very beginning of the market open on New York session. So at 8:37, I told you guys that I was looking to see if the sales can go into the 27160, and I want to explain why that was, why I was highlighting this area of interest using some of the CYPRX 2.0 methodologies that I use to track price action highs and lows. All right. So starting on the hourly time frame, why was I selling and why was I comfortable with that sell? First, all right, starting at Asia session, always just tracking the daily highs and the lows and the last up candle before the down move into Asia in London session. You can see that this was that candle on the hourly. So I simply just highlighted it from the high down to the low, the body of the bullish candle. And I marked a little horizontal line because again, on the hourly time frame, the bottom of these bullish candlesticks down on the 1 minute time frame are going to be structure. They're going to be higher lows or support. And so if these supports or bullish candles on that higher time frame are engulfed with sell volume, and then we start to see bearish price action underneath of that, you can assume that the next target, if price is not making new highs, is going to be the next low of the previous bullish candlestick, right? Or the on the lower time frame, previous higher low. And so I had marked that off coming into this New York session, and I noticed that London session failed to break the previous area of interest where sellers became aggressive enough to break previous support. So we know that there's some form of aggressive selling going on here because they were able to shift this structure, and instead of buyers defending at the bottom of this base on the lower time frame on the 1 minute, you're going to see that this is a support. On the hourly, it's just the bottom of a candlestick body, but they were unable to hold this level as support once it was retested, trap sellers and become aggressive enough to push higher. And we know that the only thing that has the ability to do that is a passive seller that trapped buyers at the highs and then became aggressive enough with sell volume to break a previous support. So this break of support is an excessive interest or area of interest where we need to be very mindful of if price comes back up into this area, because the question is, if like today it does, do we see sellers defend where they previously sold aggressively enough from to break a previous support? Today, the answer was yes, but nonetheless, that was what I was seeing on the higher time frame. So I'd identified that area, drew this line over, and said to myself that there's likely an aggressive seller that sits here. And if price comes back up into this area of interest, I need to be willing and able to take sells off of the notion that even though on the higher time frame we're bullish, passive sellers are likely sitting here defending and they're going to test the strength of the buyers at previous lows where Asia bought from or London bought from, right? Also, at the same time, why I was comfortable selling is if we look at where Asia session and London session bought from, and if price on the higher time frame is still bullish and New York session is going to buy, what do I teach you guys in the 2.0? Look at where New York session got past price action. This is the market open here compared to where compared to where Asia and London were buying. New York's not stupid. And if they're going to buy, they're likely going to take out liquidity or tap price back down into discount before they buy. All right. And so that was my logic kind of going into today's trade was that if I was going to buy or be a market participant that takes buys, I wasn't going to do it from a premium. I was going to attempt to do it at some formal discount, whether it was these Asia session lows, previous London session lows the day before, or so on and so forth, right? That was my logic behind my higher time frame analysis today. Jumping down now to the 15-minute. Okay. Actually, excuse me, let's go back up to the hourly real fast, and I just want to show you guys how I track these session highs and lows. So what I'll do is I'll take my horizontal ray, and then I'll just start marking the previous session lows or the previous candlestick body lows on the higher time frame. And what you'll see, this is the hourly marking. Once we go down to the lower time frame, this was a break of previous support. So you can see that this bullish candlestick left that last support here, and that was violated with this low. So that started to form, to me, a possible sell delta held pattern, which here was the 1. Here's the break of support, or the 2. And then this was my possible 3. And another reason why on the higher time frame, once we jump down to the lower time frame, you're going to see this same pattern, this 1, 2, 3, right? Once we jump down to the 1-minute chart. So keep this 1, 2, 3 pattern in mind, because that also played a key role into why I was comfortable taking the sells today. But nonetheless, watch these yellow horizontal lines as we jump down to the 1-minute time frame, scale into price structure. All right. So now we're going to go to the 15-minute. All right. So on the 15-minute, I highlighted this last up candle that was retested and where price had taken out this previous low. So here we have a previous support. That was violated. So in the CYPRX 2.0, I talk about this liquidity grab, right? You can see that the highs were already taken. They then took the lows. And after they took the lows, you can see that there was a higher low that was created. And then price shifted structure. So this area is a very key, important area of interest where market makers had enough money to shift the market structure. And if you can't see this with your naked eye, again, go through the CYPRX 2.0 content and you will start to see how you can see this without any tools, just by looking at candlesticks. It's very simplistic to see. And when you notice this pattern, you start to identify it time and time and time again. And then you start to become patient enough to wait for that area of interest to come into fruition, because you know market makers are the only ones with the amount of money to make those patterns in the market. Retail doesn't have enough money to move the market like that. So when you see those patterns, you know there was an institutional participant here. That becomes a key area of interest, right? So that was my 15-minute marking. We had a low violated, the high violated, a low swept, and a higher low that came in after that shifted momentum. You can also see, remember we talk about the triple moving average. We know that there was a large market participant here. So that area becomes a key important area. So I highlighted that base and I extended that over to the right-hand side. That became my first area of interest where I said to myself, if New York is going to buy, they're probably going to buy from the best discount possible that they can, considering as well that London session bought from this discount during their session. You can see London session took buys from the overall base right before New York session. London session started selling their positions, and New York session then pushed price with aggressive sell volume down into the base again, and then they defended, right? It's literally just ping pong. So 15-minute. Now, also remember on the hourly, okay, you can see the hourly horizontal lines. Look at how they transgress down onto the 15-minute into structure. So here's a support again that was violated, but the overall base was not broken. And so this to me was a liquidity trap, right? For market makers, if they're going to buy and take price higher to come, grab this money out of the market, gain enough momentum to then take price somewhere else, right? So that was just another little tiny indicator for me. The London session lows for New York session to possibly come back and take, all right? Now let's go down to the 1 minute. Okay. So on the 1 minute, what I noticed, same thing. You guys can see these yellow lines, how they're starting to transgress down into structure. Here you can see structure, structure broken. Here you can see previous bullish structure, structure broken, but not only structure broken, bearish price action starts to form underneath of that. That was another confluence as to why I was like, okay, sellers might be in control because buyers are failing to defend previous bases and push price higher. Last but not least, that last hourly candle, the body was here, and you can see that that was violated with this move right before London session. Now, right underneath of that on the 1 minute time frame, I noticed that there was a gap right here. So I'm trying to show you guys how I was able to call out that 260 level today, right? So I highlighted that gap, which you can see right here on the 1 minute, and I got the average price of this gap right here at the top of this bearish candlestick is the 27160 level. So I was sitting there saying to myself that if New York session is going to buy, London session failed to push into the gap, which you can see here. You can see that London session failed to close the entirety of this gap. So I was looking at this as a liquidity area. This is the overall higher time frame buy base. And I said to myself, if New York session today is going to buy, they're probably going to come fill that gap. And you can see that for them to have filled that gap, that comes in at the 27160 level to the absolute pip, right? So I sent that message out to you guys this morning at 8:27. Sure enough, the analysis was correct. So why did I sell? Remember, we're on the 1 minute time frame. Remember that this was that hourly high from Asia session. You can see now the 1, 2, 3 pattern on the 1 minute time frame. So price comes up into the higher time frame area of interest or where that aggressive seller broke structure over to the left-hand side at Asia session. And we see them then defend their positions. Throw up a passive defense, high taken, low taken, the 1, the 2, price comes back up into the 3, or if you're taking a fib from the high down to the low, the 79% discount to the absolute freaking T. I, again, personally don't trade before the market open, even though I saw this as an opportunity to enter. I don't chase the market and I wait and I respect my rules. So I didn't enter there. However, that would have been a really great entry prior to the New York session. Even here at the triple moving average crossover would have been another great entry. So entry number 1, entry number 2, if you trade before the session. I personally don't. So I was able to catch the continuation move after support was violated. You can see we have a buyer trying and making a fucking embarrassing attempt to try to absorb sellers. They absolutely fail. But what I noticed is how much aggressive sell volume was there. So I just placed sell stops right underneath of the buy candle. As soon as those sell stops were executed, I took my stop loss originally above this bearish candle on the 1 minute. But then once we started making bearish price action underneath of the dark pool at the 27350, I got a lot more confident. I messaged you guys in the chat and told you all that I had moved my stops to break even and put my trade slightly in profit. Then after that, realistically speaking, that was all she wrote. We start to see bearish order flow underneath of the dark pool. Buyers lost control at the dark pool and they pushed price straight down into the 27160 to fill the gap overall. Then on the higher time frame, remember this is that hourly and the 15-minute base from Asia session where they bought from before. You can see an immediate turnaround of confluences. So I closed out the sell position and shifted my mindset from bearish to bullish. Why? Because we again start to see the confluences. Now, somebody, I believe it was West, took a buy position a little bit too early, and I want to go back and briefly touch on that. But right here, you can see that this bullish momentum, right, was the first bullish momentum after a low was swept that then resulted in a higher low, higher high. So you can see the higher low that comes in and the new high that comes in after. Now, not only does this new high violate two previous bearish structures, which is part of the CYPRX confluences you want to see, right? So this bullish leg is important, but this one is more important and gives you the confirmation that you need to see to know that now there is some form of an institutional buyer interested in this, and it's not just profit taking, right? So we can see the violation of a moving average, the 50 primarily, that's confluence. Higher time frame retest, that's another confluence. Price breaking not only one previous structure high, but two structure highs. That now gives you the green light to say to yourself, okay, this base should hold. And if it holds, that's going to give me a good risk to reward trade to expose my capital to possibly, right? Because we don't know if they're going to continue. We assume that they're going to continue, but to possibly continue with this buy momentum. And so on the retest of that base, I started to trail this bearish price action with the buy stop. My last buy stop was right above this last bearish candle. It was executed. Trade was almost immediately in profit. I took my stop loss right beneath the low. I didn't hold this entire trade. I'm not going to flex like I did. I closed right at the dark pool. Why? Because I was already up for the day and I didn't want to get caught in any volatility in case the sellers here decided to defend the dark pool and do something like this, right? So I just closed right away at the dark pool. That was it for my day today. I'll give you guys some background noise. All right. But nonetheless, super clean trading day, super clean higher time frame price action. If you ask me, buying and selling from bases on the higher time frame. I cannot stress enough. We've gone over this so many times. These are your optimal risk to reward areas of interest, and anything in between should be looked at as a bunch of noise. Opportunistic moments, of course, if you can catch them, but your best risk to reward setups are going to be from higher time frame bases, from higher time frame structure. Once price comes into those structure points, jumping down to the lower time frame and seeing almost the similar confluences and setups on the higher time frame in conjunction with the lower time frame and taking those trades, right? So we got both that opportunity today to be a seller and a buyer. You cannot ask for any cleaner price action on a volatile pair like MNQ. When opportunities for both buys and sells come in the same session, beautiful trading day. Beautiful way to end April, honestly, if you ask me.